Good morning, everybody. We're back. My apologies to those who were tuned in last week. We had to do a rerun, but we're back live and almost in full force here. We've got my son Stu is going to be out today. He's feeling a little under the weather, but we got the most of us are here. We got Rick Kearney, our certified diagnostic master technician. Without argument, the focal point of the show, because it isn't just that he's so smart, but he is smart. But the fact is, you have more problems operating your car and maintaining and repairing your car. You only buy a car once every, 4, 5, 6 years? I think the frequency of buying cars is increased radically. So it might be 7 or 8 years before you have to buy a car now, maybe even 10 or 12. So you're not buying a car very often. You almost forget about what it was like, which is maybe not such a bad thing. It is a terrible experience, when you go into a car dealership. And that's where the excitement is, buying cars, buying new cars. But the sad fact of life is you probably end up getting taken advantage of more maintaining and repairing your car. It's just too easy. I mean, let's face it. Most of you aren't scientists or technicians or engineers, and our cars today are really rolling computers. So if you have a problem with a car today, you're pretty much at the mercy of the guy in the service drive when you go into the car dealership or the independent repair facility, and he tells you what he thinks or what he says he thinks is wrong with your car. If you've got a problem like that, just give us a call. Give Rick Kearney a call at 877-960-9960. That's 877-960-9960. Write the number down, because you're probably driving now, you're probably busy, and this is a 2-hour show. We're on from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time every Saturday. So we'll be around for a couple hours. Something will pop in your mind. You'll have this number written down, hopefully. And that number again is 877-960-9960. Now I have to tell you, Rick has almost got a private number. He's the YouTube guy. This is our website, or our radio station here is Earl on Cars. So if you go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars, youtube.com/Earl on Cars, then Rick monitors that channel, and you can post something there, and he has a cadre of extremely informed people that not only ask questions but give us answers. I mean, we got a guy out there by the name of Donovan that could be doing the show instead of me. In fact, he probably should be doing the show instead of me. But Rick Kearney, certified diagnostic master technician, your questions directed to him. Now, my wife Nancy Stewart is with us here in the studio, and I'm getting more and more calls and more emails and more texts from the ladies out there. And we are finally, I say finally because we've been doing this for 20 years, but we're finally able to reach equality with the ladies that are listening to the show. In fact, we probably have more ladies listening than we realize, but they're calling the show. And the reason they're calling the show is because of Nancy Stewart, who is a strong female advocate. And she's been that way for a long time. She's coming into her own now. I mean, women are coming into their own now. If you go back, look, I think back about my mother. When my mother was out of high school and she was old enough to vote, she couldn't vote. I mean, it's hard to believe the way how far women have come and how far women need to come. And you can thank Nancy Stewart for a lot of that. And she has really built lady power on this show. And we have a lot of contributors, a lot of questioners. And I'm going to turn the mic over to her just a second because there's a very special, it's too good to be true, but it's true. Too good to be true, but it's true offer if you're a female and you haven't called the show, maybe you didn't even know about the show, but if you didn't know about the show or did you and you didn't call the show, there's a very special offer she'll tell you about. In fact, she's got two special offers. I'll just turn the mic over to Nancy and she'll tell you what I'm talking about.
Oh, good morning, everyone, and welcome. Boy, do we have an exciting show this morning. And I want to thank you ahead of time for joining us because you do make the show. And this morning, ladies, we want to extend a special promotion to you if you call for the first time, because I have $50 for the first 2 new lady callers this morning. That is our way of thanking you for calling Earl on Cars for the first time and also spreading the word. We are also on Zoom this morning for the next 2 hours, and if you do have a Zoom account, you can definitely have a little fun this morning. We'll see you, you'll see us, and we'll talk. And you can give us a call at the meeting number 926-589-0586. And we have a special dog of the week. Last time we were on the air, we were missing a dog, and boy, did we miss her. So anyway, we have a special this morning. Stay tuned for that. We also have the mystery shopping report. So don't go anywhere. Jot those numbers down. And don't forget, youranonymousfeedback.com. And when I say jot those numbers down, I'm referring to our toll-free number, 877-960-9960. You can also text us, and you'll take advantage of that text number when we do go over the mystery shopping report, 772-497-6530. Again, youranonymousfeedback.com. We'd love to hear from you. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Well, I know everyone's anxiously awaiting, especially our regular listeners, because we got all excited. We get excited maybe too much on this show. I think we're optimists about the situation with car dealers being rectified and corrected. And we got a lot of false signals going out from the Attorney General's office, and the Florida Automobile Dealers Association, and whatnot. September 1st was supposed to be a very, very special date, and that was a date that Ashley Moody, Florida Attorney Generals, and by the way, the Attorney Generals are active in all states, so we'll be talking about that later on the show. But Ashley Moody came out of her hole, the Florida Attorney General, and went public by saying that if you've heard this, or if you haven't heard it, you're going to laugh at this. She said, "We are going to start enforcing the Florida law that we've had on the books for 20 years about car dealers not lying, cheating, and stealing." Those are my words. But basically, she said that the Unfair Deceptive Trade Practices Act, the fact that car dealers are advertising prices and quoting you prices on the phone or online or text or whatever, verbally, and they won't honor the price. They give you a price, let's say it's $25,000 on a new Honda Accord, and when you come in, you have to pay $30,000. And the reason you have to pay $5,000 more than the advertised or quoted price is because they can get away with it. And they'll add junk fees. Junk fees, if you're a regular listener, you know what I'm talking about. Electronic filing fee, doc fee, admin fee, tag agency fee. Any name they want to make up, they can add that to the advertised price. Out the door price means nothing. So it got so ludicrous that the law said they should be fined or maybe have their franchise canceled or go to jail. I don't know what the penalties would be. And the Florida statute has been there for 20 years. So she says, okay, I'm going to start enforcing it September 1st. Well, breaking news, it hasn't been enforced to our knowledge. In fact, breaking news because we have a letter. I say we are, for the new listeners, we are a car dealership. We have a Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, Florida. So this is not an infomercial. We're not trying to sell you Toyotas. There are a lot of cars out there that is good or better than Toyota. Toyota builds a good product. We're not going to try to sell you one. This is strictly about how to buy a car without being ripped off by a car dealer. I just tell you in full disclosure because there is an advantage to being a car dealer. I see both sides of the equation. You know, it's not like I'm the Federal Trade Commission or I'm a cop and I just want to go arrest everybody or fine everybody, everything like that. I am a car dealer. Don't like to admit it sometimes, but I am. I've been a car dealer since 1968. So having that inside knowledge, I see what's going on in the inside and the outside, and I see how stupid it is. As I say this, I say people are listening for the first time to the show and they're wondering, have I lost my mind? Yes, is this man saying that there are laws on the books that have been there for 20 years? The Attorney General, Ashley Moody, has openly said, I'm going to begin enforcing those 20-year-old laws on September 1st. Well, I haven't heard any complaints. So if she's enforcing the law, we don't know about it. The good news is that other attorney generals, several attorney generals around the country are, and that's a breaking news. So it's in Arizona, it's in New York, it's attorney generals that are not afraid of their dealership lobbies, meaning the millions and millions of dollars that car dealers contribute to get attorney generals elected, is not affecting some of these folks out there. They're really going after the culprits. I don't want to yak on and on and on, but if we have any calls,
We do.
and if you call us at 877-960-9960, Nancy will interrupt me because I could talk, and I promise you I won't do this, but I
Yes.
could talk for a straight 2 hours.
You could.
I've got a lot of things that I want to get off my chest, but you're not interested in speeches. I'd love to hear from you at 877-960-9960. That's a telephone number, and Nancy will wave at me. She'll interrupt whoever happens to be talking, Rick or me, and she's interrupting me now, and that's the way it should be. I think we might have a phone call.
We do have a caller. And don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, we are on Zoom this morning, and you can win yourself $100 for the first 2 new Zoom callers. Yes, indeed. How do you like that? $100. First 2 Zoom callers. Give us a call. 926-589-0586. And now we are going to go to Howard, who has been patiently holding. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. I hope you're all fine. Very nice where I am now. It's called the Bronx, New York. It's still, I think, the last day of summer today, or maybe tomorrow. But so far, we've had like 80 degrees every day, which is unusual. On what you were talking about, unscrupulous dealers, how about studying Canada? What do they do? Do they have the same problem? Make a comparison to see, if they're enforcing these laws. Earl, have you ever done that? Have you ever inquired about what's happening in Canada as far as the automobile industry?
Howard, the Canadian dealers are more civilized than the American dealers. And it's very interesting because Northwood University is the college for car dealers. And
Right.
there's 2 campuses. There's one in Florida, there's one in Michigan. And because car dealerships often are family affairs, they used to be, much more so than they were. But back in those days, the Northwood University here, at that time it was in West Palm Beach, just off a Military Trail. I'm not sure where they are located now, but I would speak to the graduating classes. As a matter of fact, I and you all know the Arrigo brothers, Jim Arrigo and I were 2 of the car dealers that would interview graduates of the Northwood University. And I'd say a good 25-30% of them are from Canada. And in my experience, they are, as I say, more civilized. You don't have the slam bang, take advantage of the car dealership that you do in the United States. And I'm not sure why that is. It could be a cultural thing, a social thing, but we need more Canadian type car dealerships. But I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay. My next question is on maintenance. About changing the transmission fluid after 100,000 miles. It's nowhere in the owner's manual. As far as the owner's manual is concerned, you can leave it in forever. So, and also spark plugs. So maybe Rick could explain.
Rick can answer that. It is a little puzzling. I myself, I always use the rule of thumb that if the owner's manual doesn't tell you to do it, then don't do it. When you go into a car dealership or an independent repair facility, and they recommend a flush or a change of fluid or whatever they recommend, if it's not in your owner's manual for your year, make, and model car, then the safe path is not to do it. And I think that I'm probably being a little bit too strict on that, but I'm afraid if I open Pandora's box and say, if they recommend it, you should consider it, then you're really going to be taken advantage of it. 99% of the time, if it's not in the owner's manual, it should not be performed. And Rick, you know better than I do. What do you say?
I'm driving a 2013 Tacoma with 188,000 miles on it, and the only reason that I have touched the transmission fluid is because I had a metal line actually rust and get a leak in it, and so I had to replace that metal line a while back. So I adjusted the transmission fluid level at that time, to fill it back up. But other than that, the owner's manual on all Toyotas says that WS fluid, which is the latest innovation that we've had now for 15 years or more, 20 years almost, does not need a service interval. It's good for the life of the vehicle, and really the only time, even just to be, shall we say, a little more liberal about it, if you're towing something with your vehicle a lot, then you might consider at 100,000 miles having it flushed with one of the machines that removes all the old fluid and puts in new fluid. But that's real heavy duty conditions. As for the spark plugs, they do have a lifespan. Usually it's around 60,000 for most of them. This will be in the book that's in your glove compartment. And for a lot of the newer cars now, it's like at 120,000 miles. The old days of changing them every 15,000, those are gone. So yeah, now it's normally at 120,000 miles you replace the plugs.
It's hard for us guys our age, Howard, to get that. And what's happened is science and engineering got ahead of retailing, and they they made the product so good that it was costing the dealerships a lot of money. A lot of people don't realize that with the competition out there, I know we accuse car dealers of lying, cheating, and stealing, and a lot of them do. But the fact of the matter is, it's because of the extreme competition in pricing. It's awfully difficult sometimes for car dealerships to make much of a profit selling new cars. I know it wouldn't sound that way, but the big profit department is the service department. So what happened subtly and slowly over the past 20 years is the engineers and designers of these cars came up with some incredible transmission fluids and just basic equipment and eliminated moving parts, and they turned the cars into a fine-tuned machine that don't need maintenance. They're almost maintenance-free. I mean, electric vehicle today, once they get perfected, I mean, they're going to be vehicles that you'll buy that you'll never have to maintain at all. And that is a huge threat to the financial solvability of a car dealership, because they rely heavily on that for repairs. So they're desperate. When you go into a car dealership or an independent, the person that you're talking to, they call themselves service advisors. They're salesmen. They call themselves advisors. They make their money as a percent of how much they can sell you. So if you come in with a car that happens to be a design perfection that doesn't require any maintenance, and he tells you, hey, you don't have any problems at all, you don't need anything done to this car, take it home and enjoy it, then his family goes hungry that night because he can't sell you anything. So that's what you have to remember. Everybody that you see in a service department, that you are talking to about, is your car okay, is paid on commission. I mean, Rick's paid on commission, the service advisor's paid on commission, the service manager's paid on commission, the owner of the dealership is paid on the commission in the sense that he gets profit. So everybody's relying on you to buy something, and that's why the temptation is sometimes too great for them to be totally honest with you. You still there, Howard? Or did I put you to sleep? I think we lost Howard.
I think we might have.
Howard, wake up! I'm sorry.
Sorry, Howard.
Okay, I didn't mean to carry it on there. Nancy, do we have anybody else on the line?
No.
Okay. A reminder for you Zoom high-tech guys that we are paying $100 for the first 2 new Zoom callers, and you need your meeting ID number, and that meeting ID number is 926-589-0586. And it is cool if you call. We all have monitors now. Jonathan's got us all monitors so we can see you. You can see us. And there's something,
This is great.
warm and fuzzy about being able to see who you're talking to.
Exactly. It's almost like we can reach out, and touch everyone. And as Earl said, we have $100 for the first 2 new Zoom callers. And if you didn't jot the number down, it is 926-589-0586. And ladies, I'm still waiting to hear from you. First 2 new lady callers, 877-960-9960. And I'm going to give you the text number also so you can jot that down, because when we do the mystery shopping report, that's when we want to hear from you, because you'll be voting on the mystery shopping report. So that number is 772-497-6530. And we now have a caller, Bob from Lake Worth. Hi, Bob.
Morning, Bob.
Nice to hear from you. How you doing?
Good morning, everybody. Just a couple precautionary tales this morning.
Okay.
You guys have time. This year, October of last year, I bought a Chevy Blazer from a company, Wallace Chevrolet, up in Stewart, and was guaranteed that the 3.6 engine could pull a small boat. Well, 3.6 Chevrolet engine in a Blazer without a tow package cannot tow a small boat. So I got to keep my truck, which is not a problem. But, just make sure you do your homework. My wife bought a Honda Civic the other day, and this is what I really want to ask you about. The price was $6,000 more than CarMax. Obviously, than
Wow.
AutoNation. We took a picture of the AutoNation price, and we were able to haggle them down to where I actually got the car for a really good price. But I think they took us on the financing side. We bought the car on Memorial Day. We'll have it paid off next month. But how does that work? Does the dealer get a bump from who they use, or how does the financing side of the business work?
The finance side of the business, it's a kickback. Is what it is. Your question is on financing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got a great deal on a car. It was funny because they had the MSRP, the same as AutoNation. Then they had $6,000 of, the mud flaps are $500 and the pinstripe is $1,000. So we're like, no, we're not paying for that. So we beat them up pretty good on the price. We came very close to the AutoNation price. Ed Morse had a car on the lot. AutoNation would have to go find the car for us. So there was a $400 spread, which we thought was okay. But then we're looking at our interest rate going, we got good credit. I think we got screwed. I think we got taken advantage of.
Yeah,
they've gotten money on the backside?
A lot of money on the backside, Bob. It's actually most of the money, and financing is more profitable to a car dealer than selling the car. If he marked that Blazer up to you by $2,000 profit, he would probably have made $3,000 on the financing. And they all dealerships virtually, and I'd say all, probably literally, have a relationship with a lender. Most of them have relationships with the manufacturer's lenders, but they also have relationships with banks like Wells Fargo or Bank of America, and they get a kickback. This is, kickback sounds like a dirty word, and it is a dirty word. And a kickback means that you think that you're financing your car through, let's say, General Motors, or Ally Finance, or Wells Fargo, or Bank of America. That's the contract says Bank of America or whatever, whoever the relationship is with. And all the paperwork you sign has that bank's name on it, or maybe the captive lender. That could be, as I say, Ally Finance for General Motors, for example. And after you buy the car, the bank sends a check for several $1,000s to the dealer, and that's a kickback. So there is a huge motivation for him, the dealer, to tell you that he could give you a better deal than you can from your own bank. But when you go directly to your bank or to your credit union, you will typically, on the average, save at least $2,000. If I could leave you with one thought, and everybody listening with one thought, don't ever finance your car with your car dealership until you check with your own bank or your own credit union, because you're going to cost yourself a lot of money.
Yeah, that just a precautionary tale. Thank you very much for that. My wife's car kind of blew up. She had a 2005 Mini Cooper, and just kind of bit the dust. We needed something in a hurry, and I wasn't smart. I didn't have the patience to do my due diligence. So everybody do your due diligence. You'll save yourself thousands of dollars. And thanks for your guys.
Oh, thanks, Bob.
Thanks for your guys' show, man. I'm learning a lot. All right. Bye, guys.
Thanks, Bob. Appreciate your listening.
Great call. That's Bob from Lake Worth. Give us a call toll free at 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. And I mentioned earlier we do have a dog. Up, I guess, about 9:30, we have a video that you can watch. But this dog is really special. They all are, but this dog's, what do you think, Rick? How do you like that name, Tomato?
Oh, I love it.
To me, that's finally somebody got some imagination at BDRR.
And for you new listeners, a lot of people don't realize we're affiliated.
You like
we're
that?
part of the Big Dog Ranch Rescue, which is the largest no-kill shelter for rescuing dogs anywhere. And they have 3 locations. So this is our charity. And they have hundreds and hundreds of dogs to choose from. If you want to check them out, just go to bigdogranchrescue.org. or BDRR, as in bigdogranchrescue.org. They got a great website, and they have a campus. It's like a college campus, acres and acres of doggies. And they have a little place in the campus called Puppyville, where they keep their puppies. They have maternity
Just makes me
row.
giggle.
They have little cottages for the mama dogs. I'm not making this up, folks. You have to go out there to see what it's like. And they have veterinarians. They have a special training course for dogs for veterans. So if you're a veteran, they will get you a dog trained if you're a wounded veteran. I could do a 2-hour show on Big Dog Ranch Rescue, but if you're even considering bringing a dog into your family, which you should, by the way, because it's not only fun and a happy thing to do. Do you know statistically people live longer if they have pets? I mean, you want to live a few more years? Who doesn't want to live a few more years? Get yourself a doggy at Big Dog Ranch Rescue, and we have a guest spot coming up at the end of the show where you'll meet Tomato.
Yeah. And it's really great. We're giving away all kind of money on these radio shows that we're doing. $200 value. Yeah, you save yourself $200. This little dog named Tomato. Yeah, he's really cute. He's a little Labrador.
You say tomato, I say tomato.
Tomato, potato,
Potato.
Any rate, that is what we have at 9:30. Take a look at Tomato. And we, again, $50 for the first 2. Whoops, I'm flipping stuff around. $50 for the first two new lady callers. Give us a call, 877-960-9960. And Rick, the mic's yours. We have no callers.
Okay, well, let's go right to Anne Marie's text for this morning. She's got an interesting story here.
Anne Marie is really great. I mean, we opened the show with Anne Marie, and she has become, from the very beginning, an asset.
She's like Donovan
Absolutely.
on YouTube. I mean, there could be an Anne Marie Donovan show.
There you go. And also, we might mention maybe we should get Rick his own mic, because he has so many. I'm talking about your own number, your own phone number.
No, I'm not that interesting.
Because he has so much knowledge about cars, ladies and gentlemen. There's not a question he can't answer.
I'm just a big kid that grew up loving cars is all.
You're a lucky guy, because guys like Rick that love what they do, we're all lucky. I think in this room we all love what we do. But what is so the reason you're good at what you do, Rick, is because you love it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's
And I think Jonathan loves what he does. Just by taking a look at the screen, he worked long and hard. Thank you.
Jonathan doesn't get enough love on this show.
I'm telling you.
He's the unsung hero back there.
Yeah, we're going to get him his own
why
mic.
don't you give him a big kiss?
To you, Jonathan.
I'm the Oz behind the
Hey, let's not get carried away here. Okay,
Okay.
okay, go. Let it rip.
All right. So she says, "Good morning. Here's a different story of a dealer behaving badly.
Oh, boy.
Here's the main points. Rohrman Automotive Group had a program called Kicks for Cash and offered a free 2-year lease to a student who could kick 3 field goals during the halftime break at Purdue University's opening football game.
My alma mater.
Sounds like a great thing here. Purdue student Zachary Spangler made 3 successful field goal kicks from the 20-yard line, the 30-yard, and the 40-yard line on Rohrman Field in front of a crowd of about 60,000 people. The field, by the way, is named for the auto group's founder after he gave a $15 million donation to the university in 2019. So this is Rohrman Automotive Group. At the game, Spangler was told that he won $250 and a 2-year car lease. Now, if you figure, how much is the average lease payment, Earl?
$400.
$400, maybe $500.
$500.
And that's for 24 months that this student would receive this car and get to drive this car around. 4 days later, Spangler received an email from the dealership. Trey Rohrman, the director of operations at Bob Rohrman Honda, said that the insurance company reviewed the footage and determined that his last kick was 5/100ths of a second too late. Spangler maintains that he was only told to go out and kick the ball, and that no one told him there was a 30-second time clock running on these field goals that he had
That
to
is
make.
hard to believe.
Never told him about a time limit. Football rules. Now these are the actual rules for the university college level football. Says that if the ball is snapped before the clock expires, the kick counts. And I believe that's NFL, college, all football. As long as that the ball is snapped before the clock goes, then the kick counts. The student newspaper, Purdue Exponent, picked up the story and ran with it. Other news outlets, including CBS News, Yahoo News, Auto News, Jalopnik.com, they covered the story, and the outrage went viral.
I don't blame them.
In light of the controversy, 4 other dealers offered Spangler free 2-year leases, and a local restaurant near the campus called AJ's offered him a year's worth of free hamburgers. Rohrman Auto Group quickly decided, oh boy, they changed their mind very quickly.
Yeah.
They gave him a choice of the 2-year lease or $5,000 in cash.
They got caught with their pants down.
They did, big time. Spangler conferred with his parents and decided since his current car was running in decent condition, he took the $5,000, which will be awarded at the next home game. And the Kicks for Cash program has now eliminated the time clock. So now there's no more time limit on them. Anne Marie says, I'd appreciate your viewpoint as an auto dealer on this controversy, assuming that what has been reported is accurate. Who shares the greater blame for this, the insurance company or the dealership? And how much business could the dealership lose after this public relations nightmare? And does this fiasco negate the truism that even bad publicity is good publicity?
Yeah, it's that's probably the most ludicrous, stupid thing I've ever heard. Whoever made that decision for, what was it, Norman?
Roman
Auto Group in Lafayette, Indiana?
It's up near Purdue, yeah.
Yeah, West Lafayette, Indiana is where Purdue is. That's where I went to graduate school. And I think that they cost themselves a lot of money. And they tried to rectify the mistake, but you can't erase that. Nancy just waved at me. We got 5 callers waiting. Anne Marie, as usual, thank you for an incredibly unbelievable, but unfortunately true story about a stupid dealer in West Lafayette, Indiana.
Well, you figure maybe $5,000 and the bad publicity that went not only on one dealership, but this was a Roman Auto Group, which means several dealerships.
Cost of millions.
Unbelievable,
Cost of
Anne-Marie.
millions.
Unbelievable. Boy, oh boy. That's just, and I'm glad we were able to bring it to airtime. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Unfortunately, though, as Earl said, we've got all these calls backed up. We're going to go to John, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. The rest of you guys, hold on. Good morning, John.
Hello. Good morning. I'm going to speak on about Rick and his. He always talks about going to the threads. Like if you got a problem, and go look at the groups for certain automotive things. I had to go do that, and even though the posts are old, the remedies still work. And so what my occurrence was, it was hot. I got a text from my car saying that, cabin overheat protection and that. It was on, so I vented the windows. It rained. I closed the windows, from the classroom. And I guess they didn't close all the way, or it didn't work. And so it rained inside the car a little bit. Get outside, wiped everything down, got my gym bag on the seat. So the seat belt kept, the seat belt warning light kept going on and off because the gym bag was just heavy enough to trigger, but yet, over a bump or something, and then there was no one sitting there. So it was bouncing. Yep. And then I moved it and pushed it on the floor. Next day I get a warning saying that the occupant passenger restraint needs service and to take it in. I thought, the last time I did that, it was a fiasco. So I went and I took the number, the warning number that came up on the screen. Yeah. Put it into Google, and in one of the threads, the person had the same thing. They left their window down, and what they did was to fix the problem was they turned the seat heater on, and it reset it. And so I did that this morning. I went ahead and got in the car, and I turned the seat heater on, and now the problem's gone.
Wow.
So
wow,
it's just
John.
little things like that. I'm appreciative that, now I don't have to deal with the service center. And but it's something that they would have came out and done and reset whatever. But, and it's still under warranty. That.
Well,
but
I'm impressed, John, that you had the presence of mind not only to listen to Rick, but also to check with Google or ChatGPT. It's amazing the knowledge that's available to us out there. And Rick has said on the show 20 years ago that go to YouTube, go to chat rooms, what we have is it's all, we talk about artificial intelligence all the time. All artificial intelligence is a sum of knowledge that's available, and AI just means it's easier to get to. And what we have to remember, and what you did remember, and kudos to you for remembering it, just go online. You can go to a chat room. People that own Teslas, people that own Chevrolet Blazers, people that own Ford Hondas, whatever they got, they get together and they chit chat.
Yeah.
And the good advice rises to the top. People take it and they save themselves a ton of money.
And you'd be amazed at the number of people that will encounter something really odd, because what you actually had was some water got into a connector, and with no air circulation right around it, no external heat source, that water was basically creating a small short circuit of resistance to where it was causing those sensors to read funny. And that's why it was telling you, hey, you need to get this seat checked out. And if you had come into the dealership and simply told me, hey, my light is on, I would have pulled the code, done a reset, and I wouldn't have known, hey, there's water in a connector there. Because obviously if I didn't know that the windows had been down and you'd gotten water in there, I wouldn't have known to look for that situation and try to figure out a way to get, check that for that water in that connector. But your seat heater obviously solved it simply because of getting the water out, because it's, an odd occurrence. And so that was a fantastic thing. And it's great that you did this. But now do me one other favor. Whatever source you found that on, go back on there, put a comment down there and say, hey, I had this happen too. Yeah. That way it's more likely to pop up so that the next guy down the road will be able to find your solution, and you'll help somebody else out too.
Yeah, and this problem, and this is about a 2 to 3 year old problem with, but it wasn't only Teslas that people were in there. Also BMW, and there were some other owners that had the same thing happen.
Sure.
So it isn't just Tesla only, but one of it was Reddit, and because I looked up with AI. I use AI. I'm a school teacher. I use AI, but AI can sometimes be wrong. So when I research something, and let's say like photosynthesis, I ask it the same question on photosynthesis, but in 3 different ways. And then because AI can get things wrong, it's not always correct.
Yes, it can.
So I always
You're right.
And I ask it the same question in 3 different ways and draw from that. And by the way, for the people listening out there, with the advent of AI, if you're going to be a lawyer or a doctor or a teacher, especially a lawyer,
watch out.
I can't imagine how easy it is now to, look up cases and put in your thing, and they'll pull up all the cases for you instead of having to go to the library and go through all the books and the journals and that.
Yeah, John, there's a legal GBT now, legal chat GBT. So they're already getting into it. And wouldn't it be a shame if lawyers became obsolete? Wouldn't that be terrible?
It would be. I'd cry. Because I want to know what to do with my money.
Well, it's a great call, John. I love educating consumers, and the thing today for me, and I think a lot of us, but I'm an older guy, and I'm just used to, when I went to school, I had a slide rule. I mean, 99.9% of the people listening, when they say, "What the hell is a slide rule?" Well, it's a primitive calculator from the from the dawn of history, and so things have moved so quickly and so far ahead technology-wise, I don't even stop to think sometimes. I can Google it, I can chat GPT it, I can do a chat room, I can do a Reddit. There's so many sources of information. I find myself scratching my head, and then I feel like a fool because I say, and I go to chat GPT and I got my answer.
By the way, Jim, one other quick thing. Get yourself some damp rid and put it in your car ASAP. Because you're going to have some water down in various places there that's going to take a while to dry out. Get some damp rid in that car, close the windows up and let it sit in the sun, and it will help a huge amount.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll do that. What Earl said about the slide rule. My son was working this weekend on his Hilux, and he replaced suspension parts in that. And so he went to go torque them down, and he went and bought a torque wrench. And me, I just tightened everything down. I never really torqued them except for little things. But as Earl was saying, using a slide rule, he brought the torque wrench to me. He says, "Dad, how do I set this to 105 pounds?" And so I had to show him how to set the torque wrench to 105 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And I said, Tony, just tighten it down. Those big bolts and nuts, you can go to 105, but you're going to torque on them all you want. I said, the only time I ever used a torque wrench was on small little things like around the head gaskets and head covers and that.
Yeah.
But if you want to torque them out, but to get something. Anyways, our younger crowd, they still, even though they have everything at their disposal electronically, they still have to do the hands-on and still need education in that.
You absolutely do. Nothing like real life experience, and that's why we have Rick here, because he's been there and done that many times.
Without a doubt. John, I can't thank you enough for the great call. You really add to the show. I have got to go to my next caller. Have a great weekend.
You too.
We're going to go to John in Palm City. Good morning, John. Thank you so much for your patience.
Good morning. I just want to report I'm all for the future of electric vehicles, and there is really no danger in them. But you're going to see by my report what the danger is. In South Korea, there was an indoor parking lot complex that destroyed 900 cars. It was caused by a Mercedes-Benz EV350 EQE.
Good Lord.
Okay.
900
there was
cars.
23 people suffered smoke inhalation. Now we're talking 900 cars. But here's the whole thing about it. The electric vehicle is safe. It was determined by Mercedes-Benz. The cause of the fire was the battery was not on charge. They had this for videotape. It was caused by a Chinese battery made by FARASIS company, and they were the cause of this electrical vehicle fire.
Wow.
And that's what the danger involved. In China, when they knew EVs were coming years ago, they stocked up on all kinds of precious metals, and they were ahead of the game, and they would beat us with manufacturer. But this is actually caused, and Mercedes is not only admitting the guilt, but they're paying as much as $4 million toward residents' damages.
Wow.
So, again, people that worry, we have very few fires that are caused by electrical vehicles. But here's the actual cause, and it was a Chinese battery in this Mercedes Chinese company that went on fire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when you buy something today, John, as you well know, chances are 9 times out of 10 that the components are in it from other countries. China being one of the biggest ones, but they, it's not like it used to be. You're not buying something that was made in Virginia. It's made somewhere in the world, and who knows what the safety guidelines are and the controls are to make that a safe product. You're going on faith alone.
Yes. Very important. And again, we should be back in the manufacturing business, and all these batteries should be made in a good USA.
Yeah. Consumer Reports.
There you go.
If you want a safe product, don't buy any product, whether it's a toothbrush or a car. Go to Consumer Reports. I know it costs you a couple $100 a year, or actually you could go to the local library. They got free computers tied into Consumer Reports, and they also have the hard copy magazines laying around. But I wouldn't. Nancy and I don't buy anything until we check it out with Consumer Reports for safety, reliability, and everything else.
I'm in line with you. I wait every month for the issue to come, and it's a Bible.
Thanks, John.
Thank you so much, John.
Thank you, guys.
Rick?
Thank you for being there.
Thank you. Have a great weekend.
I just have a quick thought on that. In my opinion, electric cars are getting kind of a bad rap when you have one car out of 30 or 40,000 of them
Yeah.
that it might be on the road within 20 miles of you.
Yeah.
And one car has an issue, and suddenly everybody is going nuts.
Yeah.
And the only reason that it's in the news is because it's a newfangled thing.
Yeah, well, it's like when you were hired by the fire department and the police department to help people repair hybrid cars when hybrids first came out, the Prius. No one knew anything about it. All they knew was this is a new product. It's got this super high voltage battery, and if you're crazy enough to grab the terminals or something, you can kill yourself. So it's education. Once people are educated, then the danger it goes away.
And yet every day people are messing around with gasoline, refueling their cars. How many times do we have fires at a gas station?
Oh, yeah. Don't think about it.
Big spills of gasoline, or they drive away with the hose still in the car. Yeah, I mean, folks, take a step back and take it with a grain of salt when you hear these stories about electric cars with having a fire. Because, yes, fire is a dangerous thing, but trust me, gasoline's a lot more dangerous. Way more dangerous.
Right about that.
Thanks for the info.
Nancy, how are we doing over there on calls?
We are, I want to mention to everyone the Consumer Report, speaking of safe cars and all this knowledge the Consumer Report provides us with. The October edition has the safest cars you can buy. And boy, I'll tell you what a great list it is. Hopefully we might be able to go over that. And then, of course, August edition is also, a great read. And it's my favorite topic, the most comfortable cars. So hopefully we'll get to that too. I'd like to go over to Rick. I'm sure you have something from YouTube, text, or Facebook.
We've got a few interesting ones here. Let's see. First one we got here is from, he keeps it kind of anonymous, but says, a quick comment for EV Tesla listeners. There's a new 40-stall supercharger station in Fort Pierce.
Wow.
It's just west of 95 on Okeechobee Road, and on the east side of 95 is another 8-stall supercharger, and on Orange Avenue is another 8-stall supercharger. So it's a total of 56 superchargers within miles, just a few miles of each other. But for those that don't know, Fort Pierce is an interesting spot in the road where...
South Florida on the East Coast.
Yep, and I-95 and the Turnpike, the two major north-south arteries for Florida, come within like a mile, less than a mile of each other, and it's a stop-off point for refueling and everything for people that are traveling. So when you come off the road there, there's like dozens of restaurants, dozens of gas stations, all sorts of stuff built up just because that's where these two roads are so close.
And the superchargers are like a 20-minute charge. Is that about right?
Yeah, 20 to 30 minutes for the Teslas. And so that availability to have those right there is a really awesome thing. So, yeah, so 40 chargers in one spot. That's pretty cool, huh?
It really is. And they're probably using them all, too, because it's a highly congested area.
Exactly. And
one nice thing about Tesla, and I know people think because Nancy and I have Teslas that we're promoting the product. We're Toyota dealers, and we love the Tesla because of the technology and the innovation that we see with it. But the amazing thing about Tesla with the battery charger is that when you're driving around, it will not only tell you, you just look at your dash, and it'll tell you the nearest rapid charger, the nearest supercharger, how long it will take you to get there, and when you get there, how long you'll have to wait. So let's say you're in an area where there are not many chargers, and you see that you can stop and there's a charger there, but there's 8 people in line. To bypass that. So they've really got that figured out. I mean, if you're a Tesla driver, if you can't find a charger, it's your own fault because you're not watching your dashboard.
Well, and the other side, that works for all the electric cars now because most of them, if you don't have an adapter, they have the standardized system now that Tesla uses for plugging in. So, and all of these are going to have that app to let you find the place, just like the apps for finding a gas station when you need it.
Yeah, right.
So, I mean, and if you figure if you're on a road trip in any car, to stop, you plug it in, a 20-minute break to walk around and stretch your legs, that's a pretty good thing, folks. You know, it's
absolutely.
worthwhile.
You know, the more chargers, the better. It was just last week I was reading in the Wall Street Journal about the states that, made it available for, consumers to charge their electric vehicles. And then there were places, there weren't enough. And they were complaining, we need more chargers. So there you go.
And like I just mentioned with people that drive away from the pump with the hose still attached, you can't do that with electric cars because they all have safeties built in that I don't think you could even turn the car on if the charging cable is still connected.
Well, we got to be careful about talking too much about EVs because there's only 10% of the cars in the world are EVs. So 90% of the people listening to the show right now are driving combustion engine cars.
True.
Hopefully hybrids, but very few people are actually driving EV today.
Yep. Okay, so this one, Bob is asking, he says, good morning. I was just on Auto Trader, and when I looked at the price on a vehicle, it started with a price, but when you scroll down, there's a disclaimer saying, plus an additional item line that says, dealer fee $8.99. Does this pass the law for Florida's law about disclosure?
That would be arguable because it's a question of transparency and when you modify the price of a product, the modification of the price has got to be equally prominent to the actual advertised price. So the problem with car dealers and maybe with Auto Trader, because I haven't seen that actual ad, is that and let's talk about Auto Trader strictly now because they happen to be the biggest source, and because they're big, they're also good. But they have a Achilles heel, and that Achilles heel is they have to rely on information given them by car dealers. So if you want a used car or a new car, there's no better place to go than autotrader.com and find the car that you want. Used cars are particularly good because it's hard to find all the information on a used car. All new cars are the same. A 2024 Toyota Camry is a 2024 Toyota Camry. They're all the same, but every used car is completely different. So you go to autotrader.com, and you can find a zip code where a dealer has the car pretty much to the description of what you're looking for. Now, what you got to do then is find out the real price, because the Auto Trader price, as in this case here, that shows a dealer fee, there might be a bunch of other junk fees. I mean, labels mean nothing. Dealer fee, there's dock fee, there's electronic filing fee, there's nitrogen in the tires, dealer installed accessories. You have to drill down to the dealer that has that advertised on Auto Trader and get an out-the-door price. Out-the-door price is the price that you pay that dealer, hand them your check or hand them your draft, and get in the car and take it home. That's the out-the-door price. But you will find very few prices on Auto Trader that are really out the door, and that's my problem with Auto Trader and car dealers.
Okay. And the last one we have, well, we're going back to electric again, but this one, another anonymous, is, hi, we just purchased a Genesis electrified G80 and have a question. Are there any federal or state rebates when we pay to have a level 2 charger installed in our house? We live in St. Louis, Missouri.
Hey, Rick, can you hold that thought for a moment?
Course.
I just noticed Marty's been holding. Marty, are you still there?
Yeah.
Hey, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Hi.
My question for Earl.
Yeah.
My car's only 7 months old. From some company, I get a letter or a postcard every other week saying, you should buy this warranty. My question is, how does this company even know I have a new car?
Well, unfortunately, the database in all states when you buy a car is available, and people sell data. It's a huge industry, And I get email all the time. If I want to find everybody that's thinking about buying another Toyota, I can buy the mailing list. So it's easy to find out people that have just bought a car, and they know where you bought the car, when you bought the car, so they can impersonate the manufacturer or the dealer, and saying, "We noticed that you bought this new Honda Accord 14 months ago, and you only have X number of months left on the warranty. We're having a special on warranties. If you will send us a check for $3,000 within the next 7 days, we'll give you a 50% discount." So that's how these junk warranties are getting so much exposure and taking advantage of so many people. I'll say this. This is not a rule of thumb. This is a rule. Don't ever buy an extended warranty or service contract online, by mail, by phone. If you feel like you want an extended service contract or an extended warranty, buy it in person from whomever is selling it to you. Read it completely and find out what it does cover, what it does not cover. It's currently the scam of the month, the scam of the year, are extended warranties. Ignore them. Totally ignore them.
Yeah, well, I never buy a warranty anyway, so
You're smart.
to me, they're just wasting a stamp. The other question I have for Rick, from when I bought the car, they send me saying that I should put some additives in the fuel, and for $20. I don't do that either. Is that just a $20 scam also?
Well, what you really should do is take that $20 and put it in an envelope with the stamped envelope marked Rick Kearney, care of the radio show here, and just send it to me. I'm just kidding, Marty. I'm just kidding. Yeah, no, you would actually do better to go buy lottery tickets or drop it off at Big Dog Ranch Rescue, that $20, because you're not doing anything by putting any sort of additives into your fuel except taking a chance on grabbing the wrong thing and messing up your car. Modern gasolines have all the cleaners and additives that they need. If you look on your fuel cap, and if there's a sticker on the door of the fuel door of your car that says specifically use premium fuel only, then you should use premium, and just in my opinion. And otherwise, stick with the octane rating that your car is set to. Most cars that were made in the last 10 years are totally fine with anything up to 15% ethanol, in other words, the E15 fuel. Do not ever put E85 or anything else in your fuel tank, and stick with the octane, the basic octane that's rated for, and just use a good quality fuel. I always recommend stick with one brand if you can, and even try to stick with the same station if you can. That way you're getting a consistent fuel, and stations that you go to the same place, if they have a problem, and it's like a Shell or Exxon or even Costco, if they have a problem with their fuel, they're going to stand by it and they'll take care of you on the repairs or anything.
You remember the old Andy Granatelli commercials with STP? Andy Granatelli, the race car driver, he was famous. And that was back when people were really stupid. And we're still stupid, but we're not as stupid as we were then. But I can see the commercial now. Andy Granatelli would take the STP and he put a screwdriver in the STP and dip it in the STP. Then he would try to pick up the screwdriver, but the STP was so slippery and good for your engine that he couldn't pick up the screwdriver. And I would be watching on television. Boy, I'm going to get me some of that STP and pour it in my gas tank. And it was just a total ripoff. And that's what we're doing today. So we're still living by the rules of Andy Granatelli in the 21st century.
Yeah, no, you don't need those additives. Don't do it.
Yeah, and I was just going to say also, I took my wife's car into the Honda dealer for service, and on their sticker, they still got all these additives added on there for the prices. So is that considered being obeying the law? Because it is being shown as they're adding it on there, like market adjustment and everything else. Of course, you can negotiate it out, but it is on the sticker. Yeah. So do you consider that they're obeying the law or not?
Well, they're not obeying the law. I mean, the law is not being enforced. You know, the problem is we got too many laws and no enforcement. That's it's you know, if you're listening, and you know, Marty, because you're a regular listener, but we've been talking about for 20 years we've been talking about the Florida statute on unfair deceptive trade practices, advertising cars for prices you can't sell them for, and they've been on the books. And the Attorney General had the gall, Ashley Moody, to come out and say, okay, she admitted, it's like confessing to a crime. Here I am, the chief law enforcement officer of the state of Florida. My name is Ashley Moody, and I go on public television and I say, I am going to start enforcing the law that's been on the books for 20 years that I have not enforced. Well, not only did she lie about that, but she's still not enforcing the law. So you can make all the laws you want, but if you don't enforce them, you might as well not have them.
Yeah, well, Florida, for some reason, it's a big rip-off state, especially.
We're the worst. I mean, I hate to say it. South Florida is the worst of the worst. But Florida, it used to be California. We used to laugh at California. And now California, compared to Florida, has really got their act together. They've got some strong consumer laws that they enforce out there. In Florida, it's the wild, wild west. South Florida, forget about it. Dodge City. I mean, you could drive down to Miami, you'll see Matt Dillon walking down the street.
No, you're right. You're right. All right, so everything stays the same. Well, I got a while before I have to buy another car. So,
Marty, it's always great talking to you.
All right, have a good weekend.
You too, Marty.
You too. Have a great weekend.
Hey, just real quick, like one of my YouTubers, Johnny Z. Fradley, was asking here. He says, "What about dry gas?" And this is for if you get too much moisture in the fuel. Dry gas is meant to help. It bonds with the water and acts as an emulsifier to where the water can then bond with the gasoline enough that it would burn out through the engine. I don't really recommend this because
I never heard of dry gas.
It's usually for small engines or marine applications, or if for some reason maybe your fuel cap was left off and you had a pounding rainstorm. But in most cases like that, if you get too much moisture in the fuel, the tank should be drained and cleaned by a professional to make sure you get the water out of there, because running that water-infused gasoline through the engine can actually cause issues in the engine that I really would not recommend doing it. My recommendation is have it professionally handled, or in a case, some fuel stations have had problems where their tanks leaked and they got water in the fuel. And in those cases, again, that's like what I was mentioning with using the same place each time for getting your fuel. If you do get water in your gasoline, then they will help cover the cost of getting that repaired for you.
Dry gas is alcohol-based additive for gasoline for marine engines. Yeah, I never heard the term dry gas used before. It also refers to natural gas. So you have cars. I know Las Vegas used to have taxis that ran on natural gas. So I understand now.
Well, but our modern fuel has 15% ethanol alcohol in it anyways. Yeah. So that alcohol will bond with the water and let it bond with the fuel so it can burn it out in tiny amounts.
Gotcha.
But if you get too much water...
I just never heard the word dry gas. Yeah. Now I know what it is.
Yeah, if you get too much water in there, though, you're better to go to a mechanic and have it professionally cleaned out.
Yeah. Okay, we got any calls, Nancy?
We do not.
I've got something.
How about something...
Go ahead, give the number out, because if I don't give the number out, we're not going to get any calls.
No, I'd like Rick to finish some of his YouTube or maybe Facebook.
Well, our numbers anyways, though. Let's go ahead and give the numbers out. And then we got one more that I can do here.
Okay. 877-960-9960, or you can text us at 772-497-6530. Ladies, $50 for the first 2 new female callers. Give us a call.
Okay, and on the other one that we had there, the gentleman from Missouri was asking if there are any rebates when you have a level 2 charger installed at your house for electric cars. Earl, were there any when you had your charging system installed for your Tesla?
I didn't get a rebate, but I didn't apply for one. That's an interesting question. We can chat GPT or Google it, probably get an answer, but I have to confess ignorance of that. I do have at our home we have a charger, and I never thought to apply for a rebate. I bet you Donovan knows.
Probably. Hey, Donovan, if you're listening out there today, bud, let us know if you know anything about rebates for installing the chargers at your house. Okay, and this one just came in.
Okay, I'm going to interrupt you, Rick, because we
got
have
a caller.
Yeah, we've got a call from New York, and that is Mark. Good morning, Mark.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Hey, I just wanted to comment on Earl earlier saying that sometimes being a car dealer, is a detriment. Get in a social situation. My bona fides are, I ran a auto service center, tire center for 34 years and sold about 10,000 tires a year.
Wow.
And in a social situation where they don't know what you do, and then you would hear every automotive wrong that happened to them in the last 20 years from a guy who couldn't remember what he had for breakfast yesterday, could tell you what happened to his car 20 years ago in detail. Yeah. And then for Rick, I was just wondering, how many bays does the Toyota dealer have? I had a 10-bay location, which was plenty for me. And then if this ever happened to him, I would work all day, and I wore the same uniform as my guys. And then I'd stop at a large grocery store because my wife would want something on the way home. And I'd get approached by customers because I had a uniform on to ask me, where the hot sauce was. And usually, if I wasn't too pressed for time, I was very familiar with that store. I would walk them over to the hot sauce aisle. And I think over the years, I really improved the customer service rating of that store.
I learned 25 years ago not to wear my uniforms except at work. You would be amazed at just because you got a uniform shirt, and then the people that would see that you had it's a mechanic's shirt from Toyota. Oh boy, they'd want you to diagnose their car right there in the parking lot.
Yeah,
so
when Nancy and if Nancy and I are at a social occasion or a party, and they ask us what we do, we tell them we're shepherds.
Mm-hmm. Now, as for the
there's
size
nothing
of
bad you can say about a shepherd. So.
The size of the shop. When I first started working for Earl, we had a grand total of 12 lifts, 12 automotive lifts, including the alignment rack. Our shop now has 30 lifts, 3 alignment racks, and that's not counting what Body Shop has. However, what is it? Toyota of Hollywood, I think, is the biggest one really in South Florida that I know of for Toyota. I think they're running close to 100. And Longo Toyota out in California, which is the largest dealership in the world for Toyota, I think they run 3 shifts. They have 2 separate floors of service area, and I think they're running a couple hundred technicians.
Yeah, at least.
So 250 to 300 technicians. So and yet on the other hand, Key West Toyota, I think they've got 3 jacks and about a dozen jack stands. I'm kidding there. I'm kidding. All the love to Key West, but I think they run maybe 2 or 3 technicians for their entire dealership. It's so. Yeah, you're going to see the various sizes all over the place, but we're right now we're a pretty good sized dealership, but there's a lot of others, big and small.
Thanks for the call, Mark. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Mark. Have a great weekend. Okay, almost time to go to Big Dog Ranch video.
Oh, okay, let me do this first because this is, if I forget, I'd hate myself.
You know what's really weird about this show? Nobody has mentioned Ashley Moody.
Oh, well, I mean, callers have. Yeah, we have, but the callers haven't. This bulletin came out in my email because I'm a car dealer in Florida, and from the Florida Automobile Dealers Association. For you new listeners, the Florida Automobile Dealers Association and all dealer associations are really giant lobbyist groups that are able to garner millions of dollars to contribute to politicians to keep them safe from prosecution. And the letter that came out last night, came out in last night's email, they're talking about a change that's taking place in several states, not Florida, unfortunately, but in several states. Arizona is one of them. And the change is this. Here's the headline of the letter: "The state versus car salesman, joint and several liability." Now, you lawyers out there know what joint and several liability means. That means that when a crime is committed or a violation, you break the law, you violate a regulation, that it isn't just the corporation that's guilty. See, corporations have, the whole purpose of a corporation is protection of the owners of the corporation and the employees of the corporation. But if you penetrate, I hate to use these legal words, but you lawyers again will know, you penetrate the corporate veil. That means you get through the artificial protection that a corporation can't be sued beyond what its assets are. You might have a owner of a corporation that's worth $100 million. His corporation is only worth $100,000. So he could commit huge crimes, steal millions of dollars, and his liability is the value of his corporation, which is $100,000. He might be worth $100 million. He's not going to lose anything. It's all going to be the corporation will just disappear. He'll declare bankruptcy. So they're penetrating that corporate veil now, and they are actually they're actually indicting car salesmen, general managers, F&I managers. In other words, employees of car dealerships are now, in many states around the country, not Florida so far, are being found guilty. And so that's a court finding, and it's an interpretation of the court, actually, because you can argue both sides of the equation. But we're seeing a swing now toward, if you're working at a car dealership and you know of what's going on and you see where customers are being lied to and taken advantage of, you personally can have some responsibility. And there are cases now around the country where general managers have been fined hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars. So it's a good thing because I don't like to see an innocent employee of a car dealership get in trouble. But it puts the onus on an employee of a car dealership, say, is this right? I mean, if you're a car salesman, let's face it, and somebody comes in with a newspaper or an email ad or a quote from a telephone or online quote or whatever, a digital ad in their hand, and they say, I want to buy this new Volkswagen Jetta, and the advertised price is $18,500, and they find out that they have to pay $22,000 to buy it. That's how could the salesperson not understand that there's something funny going on? So now that salesperson and his manager and the general manager and the dealer and all the people in there can be held personally responsible if this trend continues. So heads up out there, Ashley Moody and everybody else in Florida. I know the Florida Automobile Dealers Association are warning their dealers, because I'm a dealer, and I got my warning last night. So all you employees out there, I know a lot of general managers and salespeople and sales managers, F&I people, they're listening to the show. They don't call the show very often. Sometimes they use the anonymousfeedback.com, which we forgot to give that information out at the show. We should probably give them out now if there's time. But all you employees of car dealerships out there, double check. I mean, you don't want to put your own family at risk, do you? I mean, supposing you work for an outfit called Mapleton, that happens to be one of the infamous car dealerships in the country, and they're especially infamous in South Florida. You might be working for Napleton, and you keep reading these things about Napleton getting fined this, Napleton getting fined that. The mere fact that you're working for Napleton may give you some personal exposure. So heads up to the community out there that work at car dealerships that you are no longer going to be able to go home and find another car dealership. If your dealer gets in trouble, you might be the one that gets in trouble.
Amazing. I just I can't wrap my head around that. And how liable? You mentioned the dealer. You mentioned F&I. You mentioned salespeople. Are they all equally liable?
Well, the finding of the court would be either you knew about the crime or the violation, or you should have known. Now, in my interpretation, I think if you own a company, you should know what's going on in the company. So that's my interpretation. I mean, I have violations that I'm guilty of that I don't know about. Sometimes I find out about them. I don't think we have time to cover one now, but
yes.
We had a complaint from a customer or potential customer, and I come to find out he was right and we were doing something wrong. Yeah. And the name of the complainer was named Lane Katz, Lanekatz. Yeah. He may be listening.
He'll be listening to the show tonight.
And my intentions, Lane, if you are listening, my intentions were to apologize to you and tell you that we screwed up and how it happened and what happened and how we've changed it. But I have that responsibility, and I accept joint and several liability because I'm not going to say my corporation did it and I have no guilt whatsoever. If you're going to be an owner and you're going to get the profits from your company, then you also have the responsibility to be responsible for your company. Yeah. Very simple.
Yes, absolutely. My apologies, Lane. Okay. No calls. Where would you like to go?
Well, I thought you wanted to do the doggy.
Do you want to go back to anything?
Let's go to
go to
Tomato.
the Big Dog. Let's go to Big Dog Ranch, and as you know, we have a Dog of the Week every Saturday morning. Yes, every Saturday morning from Big Dog Ranch, and we have Tomato this morning, and Tomato is between 3 and 7 years old. And Tomato is a Labrador mix. And we have a video we'd like you to watch. Want to roll that?
Hey guys, I'm Rebecca. I work at Big Dog Ranch. This is Tomato. She's super, super sweet. She's about 4.5 years old. She's excellent on a leash. She loves to cuddle. I think she'll do pretty well with just about any dog as long as she has a proper introduction. She's really cool, you guys. She shouldn't still be here. Come adopt Tomato.
Proper introduction. I love it. Okay. Well, are we talking about? Are we still?
Okay. That is from Big Dog Ranch, and as I told you earlier, you can save yourself $200 this morning. Yes, by adopting Tomato. Isn't he cute? You can go to www.bigdogranchrescue.org. You can fill out an application prior to going over to the ranch. It will save you some time, and they do a background check and several other things to approve you for Tomato or any other dog. Or you can sit at home and just, go to the website and take a look at all their dogs that they have. It's quite entertaining. And don't forget Earl's book. You can go to www.earlsbook.com.
You're better off to go to Amazon.com.
Or you can
That's
go to
better.
Amazon.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
better.
you can go to Amazon if you so choose. The book is $19.95. All proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. Yes, that's what I said. All proceeds go to Big Dog Ranch. So take advantage of that also. Okay, we are going to go to the mystery shopping report.
Well, before we do that, let me something that we don't mention that we might do more often is that Big Dog Ranch, all of their locations, because they turn down no dogs unless, unless they. They don't turn down any dogs. They take all dogs. They're bringing dogs in from other countries, and they bring in really too many dogs. I guess you could say that Lori Simmons, the founder and the amazing person that has built the Big Dog Ranch to what it is today, she's got a heart to take in any dog, and so we run out of room sometimes, and we have locations for hundreds and hundreds, probably thousands of dogs, 3 locations, but sometimes it gets crowded, and because we don't euthanize our dogs. If a dog comes in there and for whatever reason he doesn't get adopted right away, he could be there 2 or 3 years. We keep the dog until we find a loving home for him. So one of the ways we mitigate that problem, and you can think about this if you want to, is we have people out there that foster the dogs. So if we have a full house at Big Dog Ranch Rescue, the Big Dog Ranch Rescue will give you a dog and say, we understand you don't want to keep this dog, but we appreciate you keeping him at your home. And Big Dog Ranch Rescue will be sure that you're a good host, a good mother or father to this dog, and take good care of the dog so that he's going to a proper home. That relieves the occupancy problem with Big Dog Ranch. So a lot of us are reluctant to actually adopt a dog for a lot of reasons, but you might consider the foster. And I have to admit, I have a hidden motive there. We want you to fall in love with the dog if you foster the dog, and maybe you will. But if you don't, you can bring the dog back. And we certainly don't want you to bring him back if you want to keep him, but some people just can't keep a dog for a long time. Yeah. And the foster program is something to keep in mind. So when you go to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, www.bdrr is in bigdogranchrescue.org. Just go to the website and look around and see what you see, and then take a visit out there. And I think you'll be impressed. I guarantee you, if you take a visit out there, you won't start talking about them, and you'll be telling a lot of people about it, because something like this is very unusual.
Yeah, just like us. It's been a while since we were out there, but boy, I'll tell you, we keep talking about it. Earl talks about Puppyland. He loves Puppyland, and of course, all of the great things that Big Dog Ranch does for the, military. Just so many people out there. That's a great organization. So take a look at Tomato and all the other dogs, and I'm sure something will tickle your fancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mystery Shopping Report.
I think that's time for the Mystery Shopping Report. And ladies and gentlemen, you can you can vote on the Mystery Shopping Report, and you can do so at 777-747. Rick, take over for me, would you please? Anybody have the number?
772-497-6530.
Okay. So Google Essential Ford for me, will you, Rick? It's Essential Ford in Stuart, Florida. I thought Wallace owned everything in Stuart, Florida, but it says here Essential Ford in Stuart, and I'm pretty sure Wallace owns the Ford dealership there, but maybe I'm wrong.
Let's see.
For you new people that are listening, this is the highlight of the show. We don't talk about it often enough. To me, it's the essence of the show, the Mystery Shopping Report, because nobody else does it.
Yeah, exactly. And let me be clear about the telephone number that everyone can participate in by voting at 772-497-6530. That's 772-497-6530. We would love to hear from you, and we'd love for you to vote on the Mystery Shopper Report from Essential Ford in Stewart.
And I remind people all the time that because of the situation with car dealers and the lack of enforcement of the laws of car dealers, especially in South Florida, that we got a lot of bad car dealers down here. So we can't just give everybody an F, fail every car dealer in South Florida. You got no place to go. So we have a list called Good Dealer, Bad Dealer List. It's on our website, gooddealerbaddealerlist.com or earlandcars.com. We have those listed there, and you have our recommended dealers, and then you have another list that says don't buy from these dealers. So if they're graded, don't give an A unless you find a perfect dealer, and we all know there are no perfect dealers. We grade on the curve, and most people get the C, and that's so you have some place to buy a car if you want to buy a car. As I said, the Mystery Shopper Report, we send in our undercover agent, who doesn't get enough credit for what she does.
Amazing woman.
We call her Agent Lightning. We can't tell you her real name because she sometimes, in fact often, will shop the same dealership. If we go into a car dealership and we get a really good report, we don't let them go with just a good report. We'll go back in a few months later and see if they're still treating the customers the way they should, and vice versa. If they're terrible dealers and they take advantage of the customers, we give them a chance to get their act together and we go back. So Agent Lightning might be in a dealership twice or maybe three times, and we can't risk her being identified because that would blow her cover and we wouldn't get an accurate report. But she pretends to buy a car, and she does a great job of doing that. And I'm telling you, it's amazing how she gets through to the essence of whatever you have to know about whether you should go to the car dealership or not. So this is Essential Ford in Stewart, Florida, southeast Florida. It's only about 40, 50 miles north of where the studio is right now, so Stewart, Florida. I'll speak in the first person like I am Agent Lightning, and I was doing this report. My daughter and I arrived. I love it because Agent Lightning brings her family in, her husband and her daughter, her son. My daughter and I arrived late in the morning and were greeted by a very sweet sales associate named Anna, who was standing next to the customer sales counter as we walked in. My daughter couldn't contain her excitement as she introduced herself and exclaimed, "I'm looking for your cheaper models, but in a truck. I really want a truck." Anna's 16. And there's nothing more exciting than your first car. So I could see why everybody was loving this situation, even though this is a mystery shop. Anna laughed, said she had quite a few options to choose from. That was the salesperson. She suggested pulling up their inventory online while she grabbed my information. Anna showed her the different trim levels and models of trucks, explaining the differences between them. I even joked with Anna saying they needed more female salespeople because she's so sweet and patient. Anna was very appreciative of the feedback. And you ladies out there and young people that are thinking about a career, find yourself an honest dealer and consider sales as a profession. You'd be surprised. It's profitable, and you can feel good about doing a good job. People prefer to buy from women in car dealerships. We've seen this over and over again. And if you're thinking about, most people are afraid to work at a car dealership. There are a few honest car dealerships out there. Try to find one. It's a good career. Anna showed her different trim levels and models of trucks. Anna was very appreciative of the feedback. We headed outside so my daughter could see the trucks in person to get a better feel for what she might like. Anna was so helpful and patient as we searched for a vehicle that my daughter would love. She ended up test driving 3 different trucks before settling on a 2024 Ranger Sport, Ford Ranger Sport. It was a new model with an MSRP of $39,100. $145. Manufactured suggested retail price, $39,145. Anna then asked what monthly payment we were hoping for if we were planning on paying cash. I mentioned that we would likely be financing. She explains that a good rule of thumb for monthly payments is that for every $5,000 finance, the payment would be about $100 a month. I mean, that's a shoot from the hip because let's face it, if you're going to finance something for 36 months or 48 months or 72 months or 84 months, it's going to radically change the monthly payment. But I guess you could say it was a rule of thumb. And by the way, on financing, just as a little digression here, when you go into a car dealership, I mentioned earlier in the show to a caller that car dealers make more money financing the car than they do selling the car. Their average profit on financing is about $2,000 on every car. And they're lucky if they can make that when they sell you the car. So if you tell a person that is selling you something, they have an opportunity to make more money because you are financing with them, they're likely to take it a little easier on you on the price. But if they have in mind a profit and a commission, because that's the way we work. Car dealers work on commission. Salespeople work on commission. So if they think they have a shot at you to make $2,000 on financing, they might give you a little bit of break on the price. So keep that to yourself, whether you want to finance or not, or actually tell them that you may finance. Leave the possibility open that you will finance. We went back inside to her desk where she asked if my daughter liked the Ranger and if there was anything she would like to change. The color or the price. We agreed it would be the one we wanted to see the pricing now. So we like the truck. We want to see the pricing. Anna then asked if my daughter was in college or if we had any active military in the household. You regular listeners know why that is. Advertised prices, they look for anything that would reduce the price of the vehicle, no matter how unlikely that possibility may be. For example, what percentage of the population are active military? 1%? The odds that you're in the active military and qualify for a rebate are almost minimal. And also emergency responders is another one. They have these obscure rebates that you most likely cannot qualify for, but they advertise it as the out-the-door price, and that's a violation of the law. They do it commonly. So
don't forget if you're a farmer.
A farmer, yeah. Actually, a farmer discount.
Yeah.
I'd love to walk in someday and say, I'm a farmer, I'm active in the military, and I'm a college graduate. I mean,
I'm taking classes online as a college student, active military, a farmer, and oh yeah, my job in the military is I drive the ambulance, so I'm a first responder as well.
Oh, that's right. You'd really shake the salesman up. Anyway, I explained, back to my role as a mystery shopper, I explained that my daughter was still in high school, was not a veteran, and the car would need to be in my name since she's a minor, though she'd be making the payments. And excused herself to speak with her sales manager. Here we go, back and forth. You know the game. If you ever bought a car, you know the game. I got to talk to my sales manager, and usually they have to talk to their sales manager 2 or 3 times. Returned about 5 minutes later with a pricing sheet and her sales manager, Ben. So now Anna brings Ben back. Ben introduced himself and quickly went over the price sheet. The top line labeled market value selling price was MSRP, $39,145. They took off a $2,193 discount, and that makes you feel real good. Whoa, look at that. MSRP, and they're discounting it by $21,093. And people fall for that. They don't realize that the discount means absolutely nothing because they're going to pile on so much crap with junk fees and dealer install options and other undisclosed profit to the dealer that the discount is zilch. In fact, it's not a discount in reality. Some of the things they added after this quote-unquote discount was $199 for etch, $399 for resistol. Hey, Google resistol, see if you can buy it on Amazon. Or yeah, go to Amazon, see if you can go. I don't even know what resistol is, but it'd be interesting to see what you could buy it for on Amazon. Resistall. Then in addition to that, they're charging $1,595 for the Advantage package. And that's pretty obscure. What advantage is that except for the dealer? And there's an $899 dock fee. The dock fee is just a name for a junk fee. But it's even worse because dock fee also is abbreviation for documentary fee. And a documentary fee is a legal term that means that dock stamps have to be paid on financing of the product. So here we get deep into fraudulent misrepresentation. I would just rather call it a BS fee because you can't get in too much trouble by admitting it's BS. But when you call it a dock fee, you're lying to the purchaser. And you lawyers out there will know where I'm coming from. North Carolina, by the way, figured that out. And they're one of the few states that really nail you if you charge a dock fee and you don't finance the car, because there are no documentary stamps if you don't finance the car. Anyway, the out-the-door price was $42,729. I asked if there was any room to negotiate. You always have to ask that, folks, always, on the price, especially those add-ons. Ben replied, that's the sales manager, probably a little. This is a starting point, and we can go from there. And that's what people hate about buying cars. How long would it take to buy a loaf of bread in Publix or Kroger if you had to negotiate? And car dealerships, that's the only place where it's still done. Always. It's always done that way. I then told him that if we could get the Ranger for the out-the-door price of $39,000 even, that's about MSRP, I felt like it'd be a good deal. Ben agreed, excused himself, to speak with his manager, and the game continues. While Ben was gone, Anna and I talked about how intimidating car shopping can be for women. And I mentioned that we need more girl power in the industry. And she thanked me for my encouragement and mentioned that she had only been working there for 2 weeks. Wow. She was pretty sharp for 2 weeks. I was shocked and told her how impressed I was with her knowledge of the trucks and trim levels, and explained that she had to get certified for the job and was taking it very seriously. She also shared that she needed to sell cars to provide for her children. Good living could be made there, Eric.
Resistol comes up as a company that actually sells its services to dealerships to do like the ceramic coatings, the waxes, and all that.
Yeah.
For Amazon, it doesn't really list anything there except for just car care kits. They have the various cleaners and chemicals.
Yeah.
And by the way, the owner of that place, let me bring this up. Essential Ford used to be Advantage Ford there in Stewart.
Okay.
And in 2020, they got two new owners. One is listed as the vice president is Mr. Armin, and I'm going to mangle his last name, but I'm going to try, Sabanjan. Mm-hmm. And the managing member, who I believe is probably the true owner and was listed as the founder for 2020, here's a name for you, Mr. John Staluppi.
I'll be darned. Wow, that's some good detective work. A lot of folks don't know John Staluppi, but he's a veteran car dealer, has a son who's also been in the business a long time. And he started out in New York, and now he's one of the largest groups, the Staluppi car group. So it's interesting how car dealers don't want to put their names on the dealerships, you just have to figure that out for yourself.
He actually started in Brooklyn as a mechanic.
He did, yeah. That is exactly right. Okay, we're back here, and we're up to Ben returned, and let's see. Okay, she talked about she was new on the job, and she needed this job to help provide for her children, and that's Anna, the salesperson. Just had been returned, said he was able to lower the price a little. He showed me the additional discount, and this time there was a $3,900 discount. So they went from $2,193 discount to $3,900 discount, and so that's a little bit better, $1,800. About $1,800 better. He explained that he couldn't quite get us out the door at MSRP on the Ranger because there weren't as many rebates available compared to, say, the F-150. He quickly added that he was trying to suggest we switch models, but the price margins on the Explorers were tighter. We laughed and said the price almost doubles with the F-150s. We all thought that was funny. The F-150 electric, by the way, for you Ford fans out there, isn't doing too well. They're backing up on the lot. So if you want a Ford F-150 EV, you could probably negotiate a pretty good price, pretty good discount. I told him that we needed to talk it over with my husband before making a final decision. Anna walked away to get her business card, and I let Ben know how great we thought she was. He appreciated the positive feedback and mentioned that she hadn't been there long. I told him I was surprised because she was such a delight. He handed me his card as well. So there we have it. I don't want to tell you how to vote, but as I said before I did the mystery shopping report, be very jealous about handing out A's. A's are very, very unlikely because of the fact we agreed on the curve. And fail a dealer is pretty drastic, too. Usually we fail a dealer with an F if they are just absolutely ought to be in prison. I mean, something so outrageous, lie, cheating, and stealing. So if you feel that way, give them an F. If you feel really, really good, you can give them an A. But C is kind of like the middle. And if you want to have some place to buy a car for people on the Earl recommended list, we got to have a few dealers there. Otherwise, you have no choices.
Yeah.
And we can vote on this. If
you didn't jot that text number down where you can vote, it is 772-497-6530. 772-497-6530. And that's the Mystery Shopping Report from Essential Ford Stewart.
Owned by John Staluppi, which was great detective work by Rick Kearney. I looked earlier, I couldn't find anything. I thought Bill Wallace owned all the car dealerships in Stewart, but John Staluppi snuck in there and got himself a store.
Yeah, apparently about 4 years ago, he got the Advantage Ford. Yeah. Okay, let's see for some grades coming in here. So far, we've got Bob in Maryland says a C only because it's graded on the curve. Otherwise, it's an F. And let's see here, get the, come on. Okay, gotta wait for the screen refresh. Alrighty, that's it for that one. Boy, we're running slow today. Okay, here we go. T Cash says F, business as usual by buying cars in Sodom and Gomorrah. So much for the new law. Oof. Igor K says, only shady dealer principals want to distance themselves from their own company as far as the name for their franchised automotive dealer group. Well, that can be true. Tim Gilliland, well, that deal went south quickly and predictably with all the fees. This grade is essentially a C-. Mark H says C because they were nice while they were twisting the stiletto. Ooh. Kim Appreciates Life says, wait a minute. That one isn't she didn't give us a grade on this one, but we'll read it out real quick. What's the best way to send Rick or Earl a Kia HECU recall letter we received for my daughter's 2013 Kia Soul? Before I call next week, I'd like you all to see the letter. Kim, if you take a picture of it and send it on our text number, and that number is 772-497-6530. Just text it to us, and we'll have it for you, have it next week. Let's see here. Cram1624 says, I wonder if she came back, could she negotiate another $1,000 off? D. Mark Smith says a C. Joseph Kelleher says D. Junk fees are the reason for the D grade. And let's see if we get any others here. Here we have, let's see. Don't see a name on this one. Another one anonymous coming in says C minus. And Johnny Z. Fradley says D minus. Myself, there were some fees, but they kind of, they mentioned them all. They gave a decent rebate. And I liked Anna. I liked the way she was presented. And if Agent Lightning likes her, then that says something.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say a B, a flat out B.
Wow.
And say there's
good
little room for improvement.
Good grade.
But I think you could probably work a reasonable deal as compared to some of these other dealers that we've seen.
Nancy, what do you think?
Well, I give him a D.
A D?
Yeah, give him a D. Just don't like the fees.
You know, my confusion on this is Anna, who is obviously totally innocent, and she's only been there 3 weeks, and she's got trying to provide for her kids, and she's, you know, brand new in the business. And I don't want to say she's gullible, but I mean, she's in high school, and she's not sophisticated at this point of her life. And that's one of the things that car dealers do is they take innocent people, usually salespeople, that need the money, and they obey orders. And they say, listen, if you do this, this, and this, you can make yourselves $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month. Car dealerships pay their salespeople. It is not unusual for a successful car dealership to be paying $10,000 a month to these salespeople. Now, that's not chicken feed. So you bring somebody in fresh and innocent, and you turn them into a tool to make you a lot of money. To me, this is the crime in this case here with Anna. I'm still thinking about my grade on this thing. I think that this joint and several liability that I talked about earlier is another thing that really concerns me here. Because think about this for a minute. Unbeknownst to Anna, and assuming this was a real shopper, and I mean a real buyer, Anna could be held responsible for the unfair and deceptive trade practices, and she could be fined. She could be in a lot of trouble for her being a part of this now. And this is a trend I mentioned earlier in the show. They're not just going after the corporations. They're not just going after the car dealerships. They are going after the employees. So Anna, had she been a real buyer, potentially, even though she was basically innocent and following orders and how she was trained, by following the orders and how she was trained, she could be guilty of, and her parent, her mother, Agent Lightning, could be responsible for this. So I'm going to give an unusually severe grade. I don't normally give out Ds, but I'm going to give out a D. And it isn't so much because of this particular shopping report, but the situation right now in Florida, where we have a Attorney General, Ashley Moody. I know she's not listening to the show right now, but if she were listening to the show right now, and there are people that are listening to the show that are telling her about the show, at least indirectly, and she's sitting on her hands doing absolutely nothing when she promised she would take action on September 1st, and she did not do that.
Very disappointing.
Yeah. Now, what's the date now? We're at the 21st. So it's 3 weeks into September, and as far as anybody knows, there has been no regulations enforced, and the violations are obviously as crazy as we just saw in this mystery shopping report.
Absolutely. It should be interesting to see how this all unfolds. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this morning right here Earl on Cars. We certainly enjoyed your company. We'll be right back here next week at the same time.